Hey, good evening, everybody. Sorry I'm a couple minutes late getting on. It's Pastor Mary. It is, what is it? It's Tuesday, October 19th. A week ago today was my birthday. So happy birthday to my classmate, Lisa. Hey, Cheryl. Good evening. Good evening. I'm glad you're on here. Good to see you. Good to see you. How are you doing tonight? I hope you're doing well. What do you know about the crops at home? Do you know how it's going? If they're coming out good? I have no idea. I need to ask. I need to check with my brothers. I know it's been a beautiful fall in the Midwest. I know you all have had beautiful, beautiful weather, and I wish I could be back seeing it. Wish I could be there. All right, so it's Tuesday, the October 19th, I should say. I'll say this again later. Devotions will be on at 6:30 tomorrow night. That's the ones where at church. I'll be a part of those. Crops coming out good for my peeps. Good, good, good. That is great to read. Good. I'm happy to hear that. That's always good news. It's always good to have a good year at harvest time. So that's excellent. And I noticed I didn't get powder on my nose, so I look like Rudolph because I have a red spot on my nose that I have not been able to get rid of yet. And I have to figure out if there's anything I can do to... I usually have to camouflage it, and I didn't catch it in time tonight. So, let's see. What was I going to ask you? Church is going well? Things going well at your church? I hope so. We are going back inside on Sunday, November 7th. Everyone will need to be masked. Children 5 below, no, but everybody else will need to be masked. Let me think. We will have 20 to a side, and the ushers will help seat people so that we make sure we keep our people keep their distance. And that came from council and approved by council, and so November 7th we will be coming back in. It'll be All Saints Sunday, which I expect will have a good crowd. So we may have some seating outside of the sanctuary, or we may have some seating in our fellowship hall where we will have the worship service connected up to be able to, people to be able to watch it live. And then they'll be able to come out and have communion at the end like we've been doing. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead with the reading for tonight. I'm not going to read the whole reading because I actually did not get to pull my Bible. We ate dinner late. So, but it's from 1 Samuel 10, verse 22. And the Lord said, "See, he has hidden himself among the baggage." Oh, wow. Oh, Cheryl, that's wonderful. That's fabulous. Congratulations. 167 years. Wow. That's a great anniversary. My gosh. St. John is 43 or 44. I'll have to go look at it. I know it's past 42 because I think it was 42. It might have been 42 years the year I came, but I can't say that for sure. I'm going to have to go back and look. Sorry. So, wow. Well, congratulations. That's really amazing. That's a great number. And I know the church has seen a lot, and it would have seen the 100 years ago when we had the outbreak then too. So the church you're at has really weathered the times with all they've been through. That's really amazing. Wow. Okay, so 1 Samuel 10, 22. The author, so this time the author has changed, as I've shared before. The author this time is Mark Williamson. He's pastor of Grace Lutheran Church in, I like this name, Dodgeville, Wisconsin. I don't know where that's at. I know a lot of places in Wisconsin. I don't know that. He and his wife, Jennifer, hey, Timothy Schwartz, a fundraiser, are parents to 2 young girls. Together, they relish being planted in the beautiful driftless region with all the natural recreation, arts, and cultures it offers. So this is the author tonight, Pastor Mark Williamson. And this is what he writes about Samuel 10, verse 22, which is, "And the Lord said, see, he has hidden himself among the baggage." Here's a funny sight. the tall man, Saul, chosen by God to serve as Israel's first king, hiding among the Benjaminite luggage, trying to avoid the call. Have you ever tried to do something similar? When COVID-19 prevented my congregation from gathering in person for worship, suddenly I only had 4 other human beings in the sanctuary with me on Sundays. One of them was at the keyboard, another was busy with the tech work. That left a soprano song leader and an alto assisting minister to sing the hymns, plus me. Pastor, you should leave your mic on. We could really use the lower voice, they said. Now I've come a long way from my childhood miseducation at the school of real men mumble. But singing as part of a trio over the air on a country radio broadcast shot all over southeast Wisconsin, it made me want to hide in the acolyte's closet. Nope, not an option. God will find you every time and anoint you to do what needs to be done. And the prayer is, God, forgive me when I hide from you. Give me courage to answer your call. For Jesus' sake, amen. And prayer concern is those who are afraid to serve. I really like that. So, a lot of churches did different things. Cheryl, I know. Your church broadcast, I know. Sam and I, when we weren't meeting outside for worship, we were recording a lot at home and putting the songs in. Hey, Sherry, good evening. Putting the music in that was recorded ahead of time, and now we've been back outside. And good evening, Laura. And we've been we have the music recorded. Sometimes the readers are recorded. Sometimes the readers read there. I lead the worship. I do all the liturgy parts out there and read the gospel and preach, and then we do the creeds and the prayers and the communion. But when we were not worshiping together at all, often Samuel would record me and then splice it. Well, he doesn't splice it because we don't do that anymore, but he put everything together and did a really, really good job. And now he and Todd from church, they helped to put everything together. And speaking of Todd, of Amy, happy birthday to Amy. It's her birthday today too. So happy birthday to Amy Drogmiller. Hoping she is having a wonderful celebration this evening. So I wanted to share, all of you I'm sure know that General Colin Powell died yesterday, and I thought he was quite a man. As one of the people who covered him over the years said, he put his country before his party, before anything else, and he owned the mistakes that he made, and he just was a really good man, and he was a person of faith, and he had strong morals and values. And so I was listening last night to, hey, Betty, good evening. I was listening to ABC because I wanted to hear different reports about Colin Powell. And they shared something, and because I have DVR and I could run it back, I could write all this down, and I wanted to share this. He's written a memoir. I didn't catch the name of the memoir, but I'm going to try to find it. But Colin Powell has 13 rules that he lived by. And I really, really like them, so I wanted to share them tonight. The first one is, it ain't as bad as you think. It will look better in the morning. I love that. It ain't as bad as you think. It will look better in the morning. 2, get mad, then get over it. I thought that was great. That's usually how I am. If I get mad, I get over it pretty quick. Usually I get it out, get it over. Number 3, I love this one. I really love this one. Avoid having your ego so close to your position, meaning whatever your work or call is in life, that when your position falls, your ego doesn't go with it. I love that. Avoid having your ego so close to your position that when your position falls, your ego doesn't go with it. Number 4 is, it can be done. Number 5 is, be careful what you choose. You may get it. I love that one. I've known that one in my life. Number 6, don't let adverse facts stand in the way of a good decision. I really, really like that one too. Don't let adverse facts stand in the way of a good decision. Boy. I mean, these are great to follow. Number 7. You can't make someone else's choices. You can't make someone else's choices. You shouldn't let someone else make yours. I love that. You can't make someone else's choices. You shouldn't let someone else make yours. Number 8. Oh, wait. Okay, that's bad. I'm going to have to check small things. Something about small things. I'm going to have to check I can't read my own handwriting. That's terrible. It's something I think it's check small things. 9, share credit, always. 10, remain calm and be kind. I always need to be, I try to always be kind, but I'm not, I know in my head I'm not always kind. And I know that I believe that is so important. 11, have a vision, be demanding. I love that. Have a vision, be demanding. Number 12, which I think is also, well, Betty doesn't say don't sweat the small things. I know that isn't what he said. It was something about check small thing. I'm gonna go back and see. Somehow I wrote it in such a way that I can't tell what my first word is, but I will check it out and I'll make sure to tell y'all. Number 12. This is another one I really, really loved. Don't take counsel of your fears or naysayers. Don't take counsel of your fears or naysayers. Boy, I really need to read this like every day. I need to be reminded. That is so good. And finally, number 13, perpetual optimism. Good evening, Paula. Perpetual optimism is a force multiplier. Perpetual optimism is a force multiplier. I love that. So anyway, I just, many of these I'm like, there's such good wisdom in here. Really, really, really good wisdom. So then the other thing, I was working at home today doing mail and getting things done for church, but I took a little break because I needed a mental health check-in, and I wound up pulling something up on TEDx Talks. And this one is how mindfulness changes the emotional life of our brains. This was really, really good. It was a psychologist who also a brain scientist, and he talked about how the things that we need in the 4 pillars that we need in our life for mindfulness, how mindfulness changes the emotional life of our brains. And he talked about a study that, a research that was done of a number of people, and they found that of the people they surveyed, that they figured out that about almost half the time that people, this group of people were doing things, they were not mindful of what they were doing. Now think about that. Think about the things you and I do that we're in our heads and we're thinking about other things, and sometimes that's when accidents happen, sometimes that's when we make mistakes because we're not mindful of what we're doing. We're off whatever, thinking about whatever, or playing the tapes in our head, the things that tell us, things. I had a great therapist. I'll just give this caveat really quick. I had a great therapist in my 20s when I lived in Kansas City. He really, really helped me. I really had self-esteem issues. Really had self-esteem issues, big time. And he would say to me, he says, he said, we can't just change you, but we're gonna fine tune you like we fine tune a radio. Remember when you used to fine tune a radio? You didn't hit the buttons, it wasn't all plugged in, you had to turn it, and then you would twist it a little bit to get it in really good. And he also said, we're gonna help change some of the tapes. And we don't have tapes now, but that was in the day, it was in the 80s. He said, we're gonna change the tapes of what you tell yourself about yourself. We're gonna work on those. We're gonna change those. And it was making me think about he was the first person to teach me about mindfulness, about really paying attention to life and surroundings and things going on in my life. And I will admit that I learned that, but I also am guilty. There's just so many things to think about or be distracted by, or the old tapes or the new tapes or the problems. I don't know about you, but sometimes I get stuck on problems. I just get stuck on them. And I'm like, I have to get up and go for a walk. I have to maybe do meditation. I have to read scripture or a book. I just, or bake. But I have to, if I find myself just getting trapped by things that I'm just not letting go of, then, hey, good evening, Sharon. Then I have to get up and do something else to try to break that, especially if I get in a negative space, to try to break that. I need to do something else to try to break that. But anyway, so I was listening to this about mindfulness, and he said there are 4 pillars of mindfulness. The first is awareness. Focus your attention. And there's meta-awareness. Meta-awareness is to recognize our awareness. So like knowing what our minds are doing. So like being caught up in a drama in your head, or being stuck on a problem, or something that you're going to say to somebody. To stop yourself and to be aware, hey, what I'm doing is not helping. I need to get up. I need to do something else. I need to divert my attention. I need to do something, get myself back on track. So that was the first thing. Then the second thing is connection. He said that so many people are lonely today, terribly, terribly lonely, that even though we're so connected, we're the most connected we've ever been in our world and any time, because of all the social media stuff, that such a high number of people are terribly lonely. And I know this too, but that social media can make us feel good. It can make us feel terrible. It can make us feel loved because of people reaching out to us. But it's having relationships that really matters. It's being connected to people. And he talked about having appreciation of others, showing kindness towards others, and having compassion for others. The third one was insight. Insight into the narrative that we have about ourselves. And he says changing our relationship, changing our narrative, how we see ourselves, our relationship with ourselves. And it goes back to what I was talking about, this wonderful therapist named Tom from the University of Kansas. When I was taking social work classes, I was able to see him for over a good year. And he helped me to be able to, without him like saying it, but it was in the work we did. I was able, after a year, to really be able to forgive some things in my life, of things that had happened to me, to be able to love myself more. And I mean, my faith was in the mix of all of that, but I really needed somebody to help me get out of my head and get out of my bad tapes, the things of, like somebody said to me recently, oh, they made stupid choices. And I'm like, don't say that. Don't say you made stupid choices. Don't put yourself down like that. We all make mistakes. We all do things wrong. And sometimes we don't give enough grace, and sometimes we don't receive enough grace. And I realized that in my own life, that sometimes I'm mad because I don't feel like I was given a chance or given the grace to at least try to ask for forgiveness and to work things out. And I think about that, we all can be guilty of that, of not showing enough grace or compassion to each other, especially if we're upset with somebody and we haven't been able to work through it with them, or we haven't been able to let it go. But we also really need to have insight into ourselves and be able to love ourselves, because let's face it, most of us are our worst critics. And sometimes if we've been raised with emotional abuse, if we've received that kind of feedback or treatment as a child or even as an adult, we can see ourselves that way. And we need to find ways to be kinder to ourselves and stop treating ourselves worse than, we can treat ourselves worse than we would treat anybody else. So, and then the fourth pillar is purpose. Said that our life is headed towards in a particular direction. So he shared another study. I'm going to go back and I'll see if I can share this TEDx talk because I thought it was great. But he shared again that there was another study done, and this was really interesting to me because I'm in my 60s. He said that in this study they found that people in their 60s who had a purpose for their life, whatever that purpose was, they had in their mind. And it doesn't have to be a paid job, but that when people have a purpose in their life, they are 2 times more likely to live through their 60s than a person who does not have a purpose for their life. So purpose, again, doesn't have to be work. It can be, my purpose is to be there for my grandchild. My purpose is to volunteer and to help other people. My purpose is to pray for everyone and do small deeds of kindnesses. My purpose, and your purpose may not even be your job if you're still working. It may not be your job. It may be caring for someone else. It may be volunteering your time or your energy. Those things can give our lives purpose. And I was thinking about it how, it would be interesting to study this. Sometimes I'm like, I wish I had known. I probably would have been I might have been a sociologist because I love the study of different aspects of life. But so I say this because women are more, have been more in the workforce, especially since the 1970s. But the studies I've heard in the past have been that oftentimes when men retire, if they do not have other things they want to do, other outlets, that they sometimes don't live as long because their whole life is tied up in their work, which goes back to what Colin Powell said about, if your ego is too tied to your position. If we're too tied to how we see ourselves and then we retire from that, or we're tied up in our seeing ourselves as a mother or a father or a friend to someone or a relationship, and that relationship changes or kids move away or those things change, we have to you can either decide to look for another purpose or another reason for being, or life just goes on but you don't have that same drive or that same interest. So he says, can you envision your life so that, this was interesting. So can you envision your life so that doing your laundry and taking out the garbage is somehow still related to your sense of purpose? And he was saying that the everyday things of life, they should tie into our sense of purpose, our sense of life, our sense of caring for maybe our family members or caring for ourselves. There's nothing wrong with caring for yourself. If you're a single person, you live on your own, caring for yourself is a purpose. But I really like the whole idea of, how often do you do laundry or wash dishes and you're just not even thinking about it because you're missing the mindfulness of life. So another thing I'll share, and I've shared this a long time ago, I think sometime in this last year, but it was the fall and I was driving from Kansas City, where I lived, in Overland Park on the Kansas side, to Lawrenceville, because that's where I would see Tom, this therapist. He was on the main campus of the University of Kansas, and I was taking classes in social work at the University of Kansas, but in I think it was Overland Park. I was taking classes. So anyway, I went to see him one day, and he goes, And if anybody knows anything about Kansas, there's tons of wheat fields. There really are still tons of wheat fields. And so on the way to driving to Lawrence, there's a lot of farmland around there. That may have changed quite a bit. I haven't been up to Lawrence in a while, Lawrenceville, or Lawrence. It's Lawrence. Lawrenceville is here. Sorry, Lawrence, Kansas. So anyway, sorry I got that wrong. Anyway, so I drive and I get there and we're talking and I remember this so clearly. And Tom goes, well, did you notice, was the wheat still in the fields or has it been harvested? I couldn't tell him. I had no idea. Now, wheat is usually harvested in the summer. So I must have been seeing him in the summertime. But I don't know. We had winter wheat. It may have been summer wheat, spring wheat. So it probably was the fall because I don't know if I saw him much in the summer. So it probably was fall wheat. Anyway, I had no idea. I couldn't tell him. I'm like, well, I think it was out, but I don't know. And he's like, you're not being mindful. You're not taking in what's around you. And I mean, how many times do we do that? And now that we have phones, we get in our cars or our trucks if we're not driving or a van and, we're on our phones. And I will say when we travel, I try to enjoy the view as much as I can. I read some, but I also just take time where I just look. But anyway, so he said, I want you to do this thing because I want you to work on mindfulness. So what he had me do was he said, okay, you need to go, there's a Dairy Queen in Lawrence. He said, you need to go to the Dairy Queen after you leave here. You need to go in. You need to look at the whole menu, everything. And you need to imagine, okay, think about those foods as you read them and think, what is it I really want to have today? Then you're going to go up, you're going to order it, you're going to pay for it, you're going to wait for it, and then you're going to sit down and you're going to pay attention to eating it. And that was my assignment that week. So after I left him, I went to the Dairy Queen. I went in. It was the old, the old kind. This was in the 80s, if you remember the Dairy Queens before Grill and Chill. And I went in and I looked at the menu, it had the little letters on it and everything. And I decided I wanted a chocolate ice cream cone because I love chocolate ice cream cones. Soft serve. It's my favorite. But I also love butterscotch sundaes with pecans. That's my other favorite thing at Dairy Queen. And they don't have butterscotch sauce anymore, so I can't have it. So, anyway, so I look and I think about all of them, and I ordered the chocolate ice cream cone, and I sat down, and I just enjoyed that ice cream cone. And I only paid attention to the ice cream cone and how it tasted, how it felt on my tongue. And then on the way home, I looked at the fields, and I saw that most of the fields on the way back to Kansas City had been harvested. And that was my first lesson on mindfulness. Because so much of life we don't pay attention to. We don't focus, we're in our heads. But how often being in our heads gets us in trouble or gets us upset or gets us angry or puts us in a bad mood? How often does that happen? So I want to encourage you again. I've encouraged this other times, and I'm going to do it tonight. And I'm going to go back to it. I have done it quite a bit lately, but then I got off not doing it. And I would encourage you to, at the end of your day, think about what was your high, even if you have nobody else to tell it to. And listen, you can text me your high and your low if you want to. You're more than welcome to do that. I'm happy to do that. Have you do that. And I'm going to remember my high. Which part of my high is being with you all. This is a joy for me. This is why I keep doing it. And my low, so I'll just say my low was I just kind of got really down today. And that's when I decided I had to do something about it. So that's when I took a break and looked up this on mindfulness. And that really helped me feel better. So, and if you can, write down 3 things you're thankful for today. It could be that you had no problems at work today. It could be that you had something to eat today that you really liked. It could be that you had a good night's sleep last night. It could be that your stomach didn't hurt today. It could be that you didn't watch the news and you're glad you didn't watch it. It could be that you watched a favorite program, or you read a favorite book, or you read a piece of scripture that helped you, or that you prayed for somebody. But that's another thing that scientifically they've shown. When people take account of the things they are thankful for each day, it helps to raise their mood. It helps them to feel more optimistic. It helps them feel better about themselves and about their life. So, I encourage you to think about, well, I won't encourage you to think about it. I'll encourage you to think about it for a moment and then just do it. As a show I was watching the other day, and as my Weight Watcher coach says, if you say you think you'll do it, there's a good chance you won't do it. But if you say you're going to do it, then do it. Okay? Hey, I'm so glad you joined me tonight. Thank you so much. Thanks for sticking with me. Thanks for being on here. I did want to share, prayers have been asked for Bruce Harwood, Steve's dad. Steve and Sandra were back at church from their trip to Canada, their first trip back home in 2 years. We're so glad they got to go. They got to be there for Canadian Thanksgiving, because Canadian Thanksgiving is always the second Monday in October, because they have a different Thanksgiving day than we do. So they got to be there for that. So anyway, while Steve was with his dad, they wound up at the hospital, and his dad was diagnosed with COPD. So we want to keep them in our prayers. We also, I asked for a special request for a friend, and we lift up Amy Drogmiller on her birthday today. And I also just asked for continued prayers for Allie Walker and all the Armistead family at the loss of Butch last week. Also pray for all those who are dealing with illness or COVID, praying for those who are in the midst of the struggle, praying for those who are in grief of losing family, loved ones to COVID and to other illnesses. Also, just want to mention that for those of you who are part of St. John who know Andy Harnack, I think I mentioned it last week, his birthday is Thursday. I can't remember if Andy's 80. I think he's going to be 84. Anyway, I talked to him tonight. He said he's getting around pretty good. So he's on the mend from the problems he had. And he is at Sunny Grove Retirement Community. You can look it up. I think it's on Gardner Parkway in Barnesville. If you put it in your phone or your iPad or your laptop or your computer, you will be able to find it. Now, all you have to do is put Andy Harnack's name on it. But anyway, if you would consider sending him a birthday card, I'm sure he would love it. I'm going to go up to see him on Thursday on his birthday. If anybody's close to church and wants to drop off a card tomorrow or Thursday in the morning, I will get it and I will be sure to take it up. I'm going up about, we're going to go about 2 o'clock, go visit him. Because he gets on, there's still a centering prayer group online, and Andy's a part of it, and they meet on 3:30 Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we don't want to stop him from being in his group, but Phyllis is going with me, and we're going to go see him and June. The other thing I wanted to mention, those of you who are in the area, is that Joan is conducting a community choir in Thomaston, and Jennifer is accompanying them, and they are having a concert this Thursday evening at 7 p.m. and on Sunday at, I think it's 3 p.m. I'll have to look. It may be 2. Anyway, I'll try to put that up too, that information. You can get tickets at the door if you'd like to go. I'm going to be going. Phyllis and I are going to go and hear them sing on Thursday, and so I just wanted to mention that to you all. That's it for prayers, and so like I said, Wednesday night, so Thursday there will be no devotions because I will be out and about, so, but we will have Friday night fun on Friday, and we will have worship online. I'll be there tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Yeah, well, Laura, I'm living with David, let me tell you. He is a Dodger fan through and through. It's not been easy for him, but anyway, I'm for anybody but Houston. Okay, I don't want Houston to win. Sorry, I like Houston as a city, but I don't want Houston to win the World Series this year. So in my book right now, anybody but Houston. So, all right. Well, thank you so much for joining me tonight, and those of you who I know will watch it tomorrow. Now may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. May the Lord look upon you with favor and give you peace in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Go in peace. Remember the poor. Thanks be to God. Good night, everybody.